don't have the power to choose where we come from, we can still choose where we go from there. Stephen Chbosky. When I left Charleston, South Carolina, I left more than just my home. I left 16 years of my life. When I informed Porter Gaud that I wanted to come to Alzar School, my dean of students asked me, "Are you running from something?" I responded, "No, I'm just searching for a change." I came to Alzar School to develop a new group of friends from all across the globe, live in a different environment, and experience a new school. Before I even arrived on campus, I knew that backpacking was my strength. With all the challenges that I anticipated to face at Alzar, I was excited for backpacking not to be one of them. In Chile, I climbed up rock faces, trudged through mud pits, and crawled through bamboo birth canals with my pack on with minimal issues. However, an unexpected injury changed my relationship with backpacking for the culminating expedition. What was once a point of strength for myself molded into a moment of change where I was required to ask for help. I hope to be one of the more experienced backpackers at Alzar, who is able to relate with beginners' hesitation and the advanced backpackers' stories. Through remaining open to continual learning, I have come to understand what it means to be part of a community like Alzar. Community means allowing myself to be vulnerable and asking for help even in areas where I feel accomplished. Not all people fall gracefully. Some fall hard like logs. I am one of those people who, when they fall, they really fall. Even before the accident, I would fall, trip, and lose my balance on almost anything. But afterwards, falling hurt a lot more. On the Oahe backpacking trip, I experienced my worst fall of the semester. Looking back on this experience, it has taught me a lot of lessons. After twisting and turning along the road for hours, the gray cycle car pulled to a complete stop. Jesus and I leaped out of the car and met up with the rest of the group. We gulped down our lunches, snatched up the gear, and embarked upon the journey that would consist of our next 5 days. I knew that my knees were not in perfect condition, and that this hike was really going to push their strength, but I made the decision to attempt the hike anyway. Across the span of 4 days, I realized what terrain irritated my knees, when I needed to sit down for a moment, and when my knees were perfectly fine. At one point, the leaders of the day made a choice to hike to the top of a mountain for a better view, instead of taking the easier option of following the road. I had to talk to the leaders and explain to them that I was not up for such a hike that afternoon because of my knees. The leaders decided to take the road instead, which led us straight to camp. Throughout the entire expedition, my knees had gradually been getting worse. But the way I saw it was with every step, I was just one step closer to the takeout point. As I was hiking alongside Emma and both Austins, the four of us caught a slight glimpse of the yellow school bus in the parking lot below. Smiles spread across our faces to see a hint of society, and that was the moment I bit it. My toe dug beneath a rock on the road, while the rest of my body kept with the forward motion. My head flung against the gravel, with my 70-pound pack pushing me into the ground further. While nothing felt great about the fall, it was my knee that took the hard beating. It landed directly on top of a rock. Big Austin helped me remove my pack, while the other Austin grabbed my pack and had it strapped on to the front of him before I was even up. I laid in the center of the path, sulking in my own pain and misery. After I was back up on my feet, I headed down the mountain, begging both Austins to let me take my pack back, but they refused to grant my wish. I'd always been taught that I am held accountable for finishing things that I start, and that I am responsible for my own belongings. With Austin carrying my pack, I felt out of control and guilty for having someone else carry it for me. With my knee throbbing and swollen, I continued to pester both Austins to let me carry my pack, which ultimately failed. In this moment, I was forced to accept the help that had been offered to me, and it taught me that it's all right to ask for help when it's needed. Just when I thought I knew almost everything about backpacking, I relented that there's nothing in life we cannot learn more about. What I had to learn was how to be vulnerable. Then I had this moment where I had to remain open to learning how to accept being vulnerable in a number of situations. Another time that I was required to ask for help was in Shishwenko, because I was drowning in the amount of schoolwork I had to do in one night. I asked Emily to help me prioritize my work. In the moment, I did not realize how important this skill would come to be for me at the Alzar school. Since that night, I've continued to use the layout that Emily had showed me, of setting up all my work in a list and writing out next to it what I need to get done. I realized through being open to continuous learning that this semester was not just a general quest for knowledge, but a specific task of learning how to ask for help in many areas and not being afraid to be vulnerable. Just as I learned to accept and ask for help, I hope to continue to improve in these lifelong skills. So can y'all please help me pick up my log? Come on, y'all! Come pick up my log. Come on, Liv. I know you want to. Yes, y'all. What a log.
Woo!
While attending the Alzar school, even in my worst of days, I continue to think of what I would be doing at home. And the thought of having a typical school day with nothing but work afterwards made me appreciate being here more. Just as I made the decision to attend the Alzar school, I will have the decision of who I am going to be when I go home. I hope to return with many new abilities, with being able to ask for help being one of them. So I plan to take control of my life and choose where I go from here. Ultimately, this semester I have learned that some things you need help to accomplish, and I now know how to be vulnerable and continually learn when a task is beyond my skill level.
Yeah!